My brothers and sisters, this is ODJ, Otis Drip Jones, MrDoItMan himself, and quite frankly, I'm mad as hell. And the reason I'm mad as hell is because police officers need to be held accountable when they screw up. There's no other area of occupation that you can do wrong and not be held accountable. And I had to wait a day or two to address this video or these two videos that I've come across because I simply wanted to gather myself and to be able to articulate without being as angry as I was when I initially saw the videos. So the first video I want to talk about, this video happened in Valdosta, Georgia, involving the Valdosta Police Department. And some of you may have seen it. Black man Antonio Smith was walking away from an establishment, I believe it was a Walgreens, and the police stopped him and asked him where was he coming from. He said, I was at the Walgreens waiting on a Western Union from my sister. The police officer that he encountered asked him for his ID. He complied, gave him his ID. Now, mind you, this young man is not in a threatening posture at all. So while he's conversing with the first officer, another officer came up from behind him and grabbed him and told him to put his hands behind his back. Mr. Smith said, "What are you guys doing?" He said the officer who had grabbed him from the rear said, "Put your hands behind your back like you told." Then proceeded to pick him up and body slam him on the ground, in the process breaking his wrist. This man, grown man, on the ground, screaming and crying, calling on Jesus. And it put a frog in my throat because once again, we are being treated like animals at the hands of the police. Then come to find out, when Mr. Smith said, "What are you guys arresting me for?" the punk officer that slammed him down and broke his wrist said, "You have a warrant out for your arrest." Then the officer that he initially talked to said he doesn't have a warrant. The other guy has the warrant. So before you even find out what's going on, you automatically resort to excessive force. And that's exactly what it was. That man wasn't running. He complied. He gave the officer his identification. And before you find out what's really going on, you automatically assume that it's a person that has the warrant. When it's not. That man had nothing to do with the reason you guys were called. It doesn't make sense how these incompetent police officers just get off and not held accountable for what they're doing. Now this man has suffered physical and mental anguish because you're too incompetent to find out what's going on. And what makes it even worse is once they find out that he doesn't have a warrant, they didn't even have the damn decency to say, "I'm sorry." During the whole video, they never said, "I'm sorry for making a mistake." They made the mistake. He didn't do anything wrong. You just automatically throw him to the ground. It doesn't make sense. You know, as human beings, we have something inside of us for my psych majors that when we are faced with a situation, we're either going to flight or fight. We're going to run or we're going to stay and fight. And it seems that officers are always in the mode of fight when it comes to black men and black women, instead of just having a conversation and finding out what's really going on. The man said, "I'm waiting for a Western Union for my sister in Florida." You can call her. You got a cell phone, call her. And what doesn't make sense to me is the police officers have a higher duty of responsibility than the regular civilians that they are supposed to be protecting and serving. So he sued them for $700,000, which it should be $7 million. There's no amount to compensate for what this young man has experienced. He may never be the same. He may never look at officers the same. And then you didn't even have the decency to say, I'm sorry. I understand things happen. Mistakes happen. And I understand police officers, has to have a sense of heightened sense for their safety and their security, because all officers want to get home to their families. But still, have a conversation first before you start to react, and then react in a violent way. They always say, well, if you just do what the cops say, you won't get hurt. If you just comply, if you just don't resist. Well, here's a young man doing exactly what the police say, and you still hurt him. Break his wrist. And don't even have the damn decency to say, I'm sorry. You messed up. Absolutely ridiculous. And these officers need to be held accountable. It was 3 officers there. It was the one officer who he encountered that was talking to him and got his identification. The other officer picked him up from the back and slammed him. Then all 3 officers pounced on him, put their hands behind your back. They broke this man's wrist and they still handcuffed him. Oh yeah, they took the handcuffs off once they realized his wrist was broken, but the damage is already done. It just blows my mind. It blows my mind how people we pay to serve and protect us, they're hurting and harming us, and it doesn't make any sense. Enough is enough. Being in Rockland, California, back in 2017, this officer, Brad Alford, he comes out and he just starts beating this young man with his baton. And the 2 other lady officers there are doing God knows what. So according to the report, Officer Alford stopped Emilio Perez Chavez for suspected DUI. When I saw the video, the young man is standing there, not doing anything. And he could see the cop coming at him. And he puts his hands up, because you know how when somebody's going to hit you, your defense mechanism is to block. He beat this man, broke his arm and fractured his finger. And in 2017, this man was acquitted for assault with a deadly weapon. Why aren't these cops held accountable? You gonna hold us accountable? Why aren't these cops held accountable? He could have killed that man. That baton is a deadly weapon. If you are not in imminent danger, if your life is not threatened, you should not be hurting civilians. Period. That's why we say Black Lives Matter. That's why we talk about how black and brown people are being abused at the hands of the police officers. And enough is enough. He should not still have a job. He should not still be patrolling the streets. He is a menace. Anytime you walk up to a grown man and just beat him, I don't know what's going on in your household. I don't know what argument you and your mate may have or may not have had, but you have no right to take it out on civilians. We don't pay you for that. I'm just tired of it. And if anybody can watch these videos and not have a visceral reaction to it, something is wrong with you. How can you see human life be treated as such and you don't want to speak out against it? Time out. Time out for us paying these criminals to do criminal activity. And yes, police officers who do not obey the law, they are criminals. That's why you hear people talk about defunding the police, because we're tired of paying criminals to do criminal things. If that's the case, we might as well go out and give our money to the thugs on the street. I'm tired of it. And you should be tired of it as well. You should be speaking out and you should be calling for justice to be done when these officers do the wrong and dirty activity that they do. It's a new day, y'all. We got to flood our social medias and we have to go and file complaints and go to the police department and demand justice. Tired of it. It could be me next time. When the police pull me over, they see a big black man who is licensed to carry a firearm. What are they going to do to me? I'm going to comply. But Antonio Smith complied, and look what happened to him. Slammed down and a broken wrist. Thank God it wasn't anything worse. Enough is enough. It's time for these cops to be held accountable. And all three of those police officers of Valdosta Police Department, they need to be fired. Period. They need to be fired. And you didn't have, and that's why I'm so pissed, because they didn't have the decency to say I'm sorry. You made the mistake. I hope he sued the pants off him. I hope he get way more than $700,000. $700,000 ain't enough for what they did to him. Absolutely ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense that we continue to be treated this way. So our lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. Until we stop being treated the way that we are by people who are paid off of our tax dollars. Black Lives Matters until we get the same health care as others who does not have the same skin pigmentation to me. Black Lives Matter until we get the same opportunity as those whose skin pigmentation is different than mine. Black Lives Matter. Miss me with that all lives matters until Black Lives Matter. Until you're able to say and admit Black Lives Matter. I don't want to hear that all lives matter, because the way we're treated, Black lives don't matter, because if they did, we wouldn't be treated this way. This is ODJ, Otis Drip Jones. I got to get off of here because I'm just getting madder and madder. The more and more I think about it, it just breaks my heart to see a grown man on the ground screaming and crying out for Jesus because he just got slammed by this officer. Looked like he's about 5'11". He looked like he was over 230 pounds. Slammed him on the ground. Tell him, dude, put your hands behind your back like you're told. Who are you? I haven't even done nothing wrong. And before you even give me a chance to put my hands behind my back, you're going to slam me on the ground and break my wrist? The hell with you, man. Hell with you. Stop treating us this way. We're going to get justice one way or another. One way or another, we're going to get justice. One way or another, you guys are going to stop treating us like animals. You're going to stop treating us like property. We are human beings and treat us as such. This is ODJ, Otis Drip Jones, Mr. Do It Man himself.